Good morning, guys. Steve from California Outdoors. Today, I'm putting a motor in my Topwater 120 PDL. Stay tuned. The original idea was to mount this piece of wood here. It's just a 2x4. These two side plates, mount them with marine epoxy and stainless steel screws. Clamp the motor on here like you would on a transom. Drill a hole the size of the shaft right here of the trolling motor and drop it through. I don't know. It looks like I think it would work, but I think that it'll be a bit cluttered, and I think the handle might be coming back too far here, too close to me. So I think I come up with another idea, and I'm going to actually fabricate a metal shaft and plate to bolt onto there and clamp to the motor like they do on the 106s, and it'll be much cleaner. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, this is all, I'm just coming up with these ideas, and none of this stuff is set in stone. I can just tear it out and start over. I mean, it's a couple bucks in parts, right? So anyway, stay tuned. We'll see how we get this done. Okay guys, so I'm going to mount a plate on the bottom of this. It's going to be underneath with a shaft that I'm going to weld onto it, and that's going to attach to the motor in the back to support it. So I'm thinking 5 or 6 inches. I'm going to go with 6 inches. And I'm going to take this over and cut it on the metal saw. Okay, so we got our plate cut, and now we're going to cut this shaft. Minn Kota says a minimum of 12 inches under the water line for the top of the motor. I'm going to give it 13.5. That gives me room to bevel it, add the plate, and in case the water line is below the top of the bottom of that plate, this should help out. Okay guys, so we got the plate cut, we got the shaft cut. This plate is this is the bottom of the unit here. I need to have enough room here around for this to fit into the lip there, so the metal plate doesn't hit that. So I'm going to move this over about this much. I want it centered on this portion of the plate because that's the center of the hull. I don't want it over here. So I'm going to leave enough room for the lip. This is 6 1/4 inches. So I'm going to move over. I'm going to mark that at 3 1/8. Make sure it's kind of straight. It is. I'm going to mark that at 3 1/8 as well. So the shaft should go about there. The front shaft will be about here. And this shaft should be centered at 3 1/8. Doesn't have to be perfect, but right about there. Now I need a horizontal plate right here to put the hose clamp around to hold the back of the motor. So I'm going to measure that up. So this is the part going this way. I want this one going this way. Leave enough room for the weld. I'm going to cut off that little piece. That leaves me an inch on either side, which is more than enough. Let's cut it. Let's wrap this thing up. It's going to be 115 degrees today. Okay, so now we've got our motor strap. It's going to go about like this. Like that. The motor's going to be here. This is going to have a stainless hose clamp around it to hold the motor here. Front shaft that's already on the motor that came with it will be right here. So there'll be 2 mounts here. It should hold it nice. This is all industrial stuff. This is the lightest stuff I can get at the steel company. And it's really overkill for this thing. I mean, that thing's got a plastic shaft on it. And here I've got chromoly metal. But that's all I can come up with. I'm going to weld that on there. And we are good to go. So now I got to figure out a spot for the hole for that shaft. I got to take I have to take this motor apart so I can get this clamp off. So I'm not going to use it. I need this clamp off. I'm keeping this clamp. This goes about this hot. See, this is going to go about like this. Back here. It's going to be clamped onto there. This shaft here is going through a hole right about here. Similar to this. Not like this. Yeah. This one will go about right here and get bolted onto the bottom of this. Primer's drying on the rear shaft mount. I've measured where I want the motor to come through right here. Keep drilling a hole for the plate for the shaft. So I removed the clamping mechanism from the shaft of the motor. The head's been disassembled, and that's really easy to do. It's like 6 screws. So we're not going to use this for now. We're just going to use the basic shaft, the motor, the plate, and this back shaft that I've made. So what we'll do here is we'll feed this rear plate, these wires. And we won't be needing this. We won't be needing this until later. So here's our motor, our drivewheel plate, our shaft. This is going to be mounted with a stainless hose clamp, just right about there on the motor. So let me get that in place. So it's going to look about like this. So the shaft is not going to have too much tension on it. This plate is going to be on here. I'll use a couple of clamps here made for this size of a shaft to hold this steady. This will be bolted in place. It's not going anywhere. I think this should be really, really strong. So we're going to get these two shafts about parallel, about 5 1/8, about 5 1/8, and then we want to center this right along with this. Okay. I'm going to put 1 screw in it. Okay, so I've got the shaft mounted on the plate. I've got the front shaft going through the plate. I've got it about where I want it. I'll put it on the yak and make sure it's level. I'm going to tighten up this clamp. Here's my finished plate, and there's the motor in it. That's about it. Minn Kota says to mount at 10 or minimum of 12 inches below the water line, and that's exactly 12 inches below the water line. Looks like it's kind of far down to me, and Old Town puts theirs up higher to the hull, but I'm going to leave it as Minn Kota says, and I can always cut that brace down that I made. So anyway, the deck plate is finished. I got some stainless hardware on there. I put this handle on there to help carry it. This is mounted, stuck in place. I could make it turn if I remove the back shaft, but I don't want to. I bought this large rudder from Old Town. Here was the previous one. You can see there's quite a bit different. This one's actually a little bit longer, but this has a lot more surface area, and I guess that'll help with turning. So anyway, so the plate is done, motor's mounted, it's in there solid. I tried it out, it doesn't leak. No water comes in through the plate or around the edges. It's got a gasket on it. It's got plenty of power. Top speed would be about the same as if you were pedaling furiously in the Topwater 120. But I don't want to pedal furiously for 5 hours. Anyway, so that's done, and it's a good spot for it. I don't like the handle being back so far, and it extends farther. It's a telescopic handle. I saw a guy where he cut this off, and he just has a little nub here just to reach up and do. And we'll see how that comes out. So we got it all in. We got our CF numbers, which is required. Got to have CF numbers in California if you got a motor on your boat, and most other states as well. And that's it. I'm powering it with one of these 60 amp hour Amped Outdoors LiPo 4 batteries, LiPo 4. This is a great battery, and I got that one, and I just had them send me another one, identical, and I'll line them up, I'll hook them up in parallel. So I'll have two of these. That'll be 120 amp hours, because I was worried that with the 60 amp, that this thing would, you know, I'm about 6 miles offshore. I'm worried that without my pedal drive in there now, what if I run out of juice out there in the ocean? That would be a hell of a paddle. So anyway, I got another one of those Amped Outdoor batteries, and that for a total of 120 amp hours, and that should pretty much cover it. I'm in the process of putting together a pulse width modulator throttle control, which is supposed to really help save on the battery life. So we'll see how that goes. But right now I'm very happy with it, and I can't wait to get out there. We're heading out to Bahia de Los Angeles in Baja California. The Dorado and Yellowtail are kicking up like crazy down there. We're going to be heading down there next week and do a week of fishing down there. We got big boats coming, but I want to fish the kayak down there. Bahia de Los Angeles is amazing. Islands, protected area. The fishing there is amazing. So anyway, that's how she sits.